And there, I mean, you showed me the size of the team for World of Warcraft, but you've also are well known for working on quite small teams to create these incredibly huge games. What is the power of a small team in this kind of context where there's that creative tension? Is it because a small team avoids maybe the compartmentalization, like the modular, where the artists now have their own wing building where they never talk to the engineers, that kind of thing?
Absolutely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. The bigger the team, the more you become a cog in the machine.
Hmm.
And on a small team, the way I like to describe it is you get to have a loud voice.
Hmm.
If we're a small team, let's say we're going to make a game and it's at sort of the incubation period of a game, and there's only 10 of us, all 10 of us are in the room for every decision. I'm not a server networking guy, but I'm in the room for that discussion. I'm not an illustrator, but I'm going to sit in the room when we decide what the art style looks like. As soon as the team starts to grow, we become compartmentalized.
Hmm.
It's exactly like you said. And there's a weird thing that happens. This is just kind of a human nature thing. The less you interact with somebody, the more you sort of become alienated from them and vilify their point of view.
Hmm.
You tend to look at what they do and say with skepticism
Hmm.
rather than trust and belief in them. And I find on smaller teams where we all know each other's names, I know what everybody's working on every day, they know what I'm working on, everybody can talk to each other. There's none of that stereotyping
Hmm.
of a discipline. On big unhealthy teams, you start to say things like, well, the artists just don't get it. They
Hmm.
don't understand what we're trying to make. And when you back up and you think about the statement that you just said, it's like such an asshole statement. Like, really, all the artists don't get it? Like, that's A, that's not true. B, that's sort of demeaning to them. Like, they signed up for this is their life's work too.
Hmm.
This game is going to be as much theirs as it is mine. So who am I to say a statement like that?
Yeah, it's harmful to a discipline to think that you understand the world and those silly other folks don't, and you have nothing to learn from them really, and they're deluded in some kind of way. That's so powerful.
Fast forwarding a little bit, when we formed Team 4, and which went on to make Titan and ultimately fail, and then that got rebooted as the Overwatch team. The idea that I tried to get through to the team was to make an assumption. And really, like, Blizzard is one of the top game developers in the world. And we were very fortunate when I was there, and I imagine it's this way today, that we could recruit whatever talent we wanted. The best of the best wanted to come work at Blizzard. And if you sort of go through the paces of that and say, okay, when we recruit somebody, let's say we're recruiting an artist to make props,
Hmm.
boxes, chairs, whatever. That is the best prop artist in the industry. That's who's going to show up on our doorstep. So when they show up here, we should treat them like the best prop artists in the industry instead of starting from a place of doubt and cynicism. So when that person speaks up and says, I think, like with Overwatch, for example, I think we should do this, we should do X instead of Y. Instead of saying, well, I'm a believer in Y. Why are you against my idea X? You should take a moment, have a deep breath, and say, man, the best prop artist in the industry is suggesting something. Why don't I listen to it?
I actually do for myself like this kind of thought framework or thought experiment whenever I'm talking to a new person, especially if I feel in myself a little bit tinge of that feeling. Usually it happens with like a really young person, like an undergraduate student or something like this. I pretend that they're the smartest person in the world in my head. And then now, like, it puts me in the mode of, like, assuming I have a lot to learn from them, and it helps. You actually, like, really listen. I literally think they're the smartest, wisest human on earth. It helps me.
I had that, like, I think, I'm no expert. I'm a game designer, so, like, as much psychology as I know is how to manipulate people into having fun, hopefully. Like, I don't know. I don't have an important job, but
Yeah, right. What's
psychologically
fun?
speaking, I one thing I think a lot about is ego, and I think about insecurity. And insecurity we all have, like all of us as human beings have insecurity. It just manifests itself in different ways.
Mhm.
And as we kind of go through our life journey, the insecurity also changes. So, like some people, for example, use their insecurity to rip other people apart. Some people destroy themselves through their own insecurity. Some people destroy everybody with their insecurity. But I had that moment as a young lead when I first was made a lead on like World of Warcraft, where I felt it was very important to be right and to, be shepherding the correct idea. And I actually got pulled aside. Like Pardo and I had a meeting with a couple people who weren't game designers. And it's always tricky as a game designer because constantly everybody's throwing ideas out on a game team. Like there's no shortage of ideas ever. And we were in some meeting about something and these people kind of threw out these ideas and I wasn't mean to them, but I very kind of systematically like an insecure, you know, ego driven new lead would do. I kind of, well, let me tell you why that's wrong and let me tell you what we're going to do instead. And after the meeting, Pardo pulled me aside and he said, "You're a very smart designer, but you shouldn't do what you just did to those people. You should always listen to what people have to say and try to make their ideas work." And I just, over and over, I was like, okay, anytime an idea comes my way, let's try to make it work. And it went from this kind of thing that I didn't believe into to actually like a core part of who I am today as a leader, as a game designer, as a game director. And some of the best ideas have come from developing other people's ideas
Mhm.
where your first reaction is like, no, that's wrong. And then just kind of sticking with it and going, but how could we make it work? And the most gratifying part when it succeeds is they get all the credit. And you've sort of elevated this person whose idea wouldn't have been championed, whose idea by the insecure, egotistical lead of, early 2000s would have just said no. Now their idea is the thing everybody in World of Warcraft or Overwatch is just loving,
Mhm.
and they get all the credit.
I should give context to the listener who don't know about the great Jeffrey Kaplan. That you're one of the most humble and always give credit to the team for everything and anything. And so everything we talk about today, I know you're probably resisting constantly giving credit to the team on everything. Uh, you're the famous "Hi, I'm Jeff" from the Overwatch team, right? So just as a small aside, thank you for your humility um, through your career, and thank you for always celebrating the team.